All right, so Megan and I worked on these slides, but she's not here right now, so I guess I'll just be doing the presentation for this part. So science fiction, what Professor Berne's been saying all semester is that science fiction is the literature of cognitive estrangement. And what that means is that science fiction takes our current view of society, it projects it out into the future, and then distorts it somehow. But all of these leaps of technology, all of these things that change in this distorted future, is all comes from something that's logical, that's something that we can relate to, which is the logical projection or the extrapolation piece of science fiction. So then real quick on vocabulary, extrapolation, I already mentioned that. Something set in the future, but it's linked to something in the present that we can understand as an audience. Neologisms, like Mike was saying, it's just a newly coined word. An example of that is mecha in AI and Vishnu in, I forgot what short story that was, but I'm sure whoever's presenting on that won't. Novum, puzzling innovation. That's just something that is different in the short story that kind of stands out as we don't really understand how that works or why that's doing what it's doing, but we just kind of go with it for the sake of the story. So then for the metatext of science fiction, what we're really going to focus on are these four pieces. Specific characters, environment, events, political, ethical, social concerns. The teleology is just kind of an end piece there because we talked about it in the lecture, so I just kind of stuck it on there. Yeah, so for specific characters, like Cameron was saying earlier, specific characters in science fiction stories usually represent something bigger, like what she was saying that Captain Picard kind of represented the moral beacon of the ship, and then Dr. Stubbs represented this 100% full throttle drive for scientific inquiry. And then, so for the environment, what you usually have are key aspects that drive the story based on the environment. In evolution, their environment was the ship, and the nanites were occupying the ship as their environment. So you had kind of had a tension in terms of resources between two groups over the same environment. And you'll probably see that some more in some of the other short stories that we look into. Events, that's just, self-explanatory stuff that happens. And then we can draw more meaning from that later. Political, ethical, social concerns is pretty much just what is this story trying to say about how we view our own ethical codes, or what are the political implications of certain technology and how that played out in the story, and what can we gain from that as readers. So yeah, are there any questions on science fiction, metatext, vocab, comments, stuff I missed?